Here to weigh in, Howard Safir, former U.S. Marshal and former NYC Police Commissioner. Good to have you here this morning, sir.
Good to be with you.
So, what did you, first off, make of the Dallas Police Chief David Brown's comments that we're asking cops to do too much in this country?
I think he's absolutely right, and I can't say enough about how professional and how competent he has been in handling what I know is an incredibly tough crisis. Having buried too many police officers myself, I know what kind of trauma he's going through, but he's doing a great job.
And President Obama is being criticized for playing a role in polarizing this country and allowing the negative sentiment against police to grow. What do you believe that we could do differently to at least begin to change the rhetoric?
We have to change the conversation. The conversation should be about how we come together, not the different polarization that we're seeing from groups like Black Lives Matter, where they are actually based on a false premise. If you look at blacks who were killed by police, it is infinitesimal. Not that I'm denigrating or thinking that no lives matter, but the number of blacks killed by police are very small. The number of blacks killed by other blacks is about 90%.
Why do you think that that is not highlighted more, especially under the presidency of the first African-American president?
That's because, unfortunately, our president is responding as a community activist. He's not responding as the leader of our nation. He should be saying, we need to respect cops, police are there to help you, and rather than saying there's a police problem, and rather than being a real supporter of Black Lives Matter, which is based on a totally false premise.
What do you expect from this moment today, sir, where he will be in Dallas, standing with George W. Bush, our former president, and talking to those families we know, addressing the city? We, as an American, I hope that this is a moment where we all come together. What do you expect from it?
Well, I'm hoping he will be respectful. I'm hoping that he will acknowledge the sacrifice. This should be a national day of mourning for those brave police officers who gave their life protecting the Black Lives Matter movement.
And all of this as we head into next week, the RNC in Cleveland. And security is obviously a concern in the wake of these recent attacks. And we talked to the head of the patrol yesterday, who is the head of security yesterday, who said he is concerned, and he's particularly concerned about some of the soft zones outside of the RNC, not just inside but outside. What do you make of the preparations that you have seen put in place and our ability to keep Cleveland safe?
Well, I think the Secret Service and the local police will do a good job, but there's always the possibility of violence, especially when you have people like the Black Lives Matter movement, where they walk down the street saying, we want to see dead cops. I mean, this is not a constructive kind of rhetoric. This is just looking to agitate and does not contribute to bringing people together.
And the Cleveland Police Chief, Calvin Williams, he said on Friday the city would need to make changes to its security plan for the RNC following those sniper killings of 5 police officers down in Dallas. What kind of task is that to change the plans for your security for a city that's expecting at least 50,000 people to descend on it a week from now? What kind of task is that?
Well, it's an enormous task, but, law enforcement professionals know how to change and move with the changing situation. But, that's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night. It's not organized groups. It's the one individual that you don't know about who can cause tremendous problems like we saw in Dallas. What
did you make of the Dallas Police Chief David Brown just then saying, we're hiring? Get off that protest line and get an application in. Become part of the solution. Serve your community. Do you think that people have been, there's been a disincentive to become a police officer in this country right now?
Well, first, I think Chief Brown was terrific, and I think that was the absolute right message. But yes, it's very hard to recruit people, especially people of color, to be police officers because there's been a war on police. Rather than talking about what the problem is in this country, which is that people of color unfortunately commit a lot more crimes than white people, the fact is that you need to express that what we need here are people who want service, not adventure in police departments, people who are going to go out there and do, when I was police commissioner, I put a very simple logo on the side of every police car, which still exists in New York today. It says courtesy, professionalism, and respect. If we looked at those three things and both sides paid attention to it, we might solve this problem.
Are you surprised, since your time as commissioner, how much things have changed and how fast they've changed in this country?
I'm surprised that the first African-American president, instead of bringing us together, has actually divided us. I expected that when he became president, he would be an advocate not only for people of color, but bringing together the racial divide in this country. And unfortunately, he did exactly the opposite.
Well, former police commissioner Howard Safir, it's good to have you here this morning. The president going to Dallas today for that memorial service. The president, former President George W. Bush, will be with him. We hope that it's a good moment for this country where we all come together in the wake of tragedy. Good to have you here this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being me.